Hey, it's Alexis. So I realized that I never did a wrap up after I did my January one. So I'm going to be doing my February, March, and April wrap up all together. These are not in any particular order, like the order I read them in, but they will be separated by months that I read them in, if that makes any sense. So in February, I read Legendary by Stephanie Garber. This is book 2 in the Caraval series. This book was focused on Donatella. The first book was focused more on Scarlet, which is Donatella's sister. And I don't think I'm a huge Donatella person. So I don't know what all I can say since this is the second in a series. A heart to protect, a debt to repay, a game to win. So in the first one, there's two sisters that go to this magical game called Caraval. At the end of the game, the winner gets to meet Legend, who is like in charge of the whole game and stuff. Well, after the game was over in the first one, this picks up like right after the game leaves off. Legend is one of the main characters in this one, along with Donatella, who is Scarlet's sister. I just really don't think I'm a Donatella person because I wasn't as intrigued in this one as I was the first one. I still had a good time reading it, but I just don't think this was my favorite. I also don't know if I said, but I did give this one 4 stars. Next up, we have a 5-letter word for love by Amy James. Pretty sure I gave this one 4 stars as well. So in this book, it's about this girl named Emily. She's 27 years old and currently working as a receptionist at a auto shop. She does not want to work at this auto shop, but she also does not want to use the degree that she went to school for. So this is like the job that she just has right now. Her goal in life is what she's still trying to figure out. She doesn't know. But she does know that she's not happy where she's at and she's not happy with the degree that she decided to go to school for. So she's currently trying to decide what she wants to do with her life so that she can go back to school, get the degree she wants, and get her dream job. But this book is really funny and really interesting because it's about Wordle. So not only is she currently trying to figure out what she wants to do with her life, she's also been having this streak where she does Wordle every day. She's almost to a year, and one day she starts struggling with the Wordle, so she has to ask one of her coworkers if they do Wordle and if they could help her figure out the word for the day. Then that turns into a, oh, every day at lunch, let's sit down and do Wordle together type friendship. And this was just like really, really cute. If you haven't read this yet, please do it. It's so cute. Next, I read Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez, and I ended up giving this book 5 stars. This is one of my new all-time favorite books. I think that Jacob is one of my new favorite book boyfriends, and I think he will be for the rest of time. So this book is technically the second book in the Part of Your World series by Abby Jimenez. The first one is Part of Your World, but you don't have to read them in order. I didn't, but I would recommend that you do, only because some of the characters like connect. Well, not some of them, like all of them. They interconnect and show up in each other's books. So it's just more fun if you read them in order as the series goes, but you definitely don't have to. So this is about Brianna. She's a doctor. She is actually going through a divorce because her ex-husband is an awful guy, and she's also trying to take care of her brother. He is on a transplant list for a new kidney, but he's getting just sicker and sicker. There's this new doctor who starts named Jacob. Jacob has anxiety. This is a really good book showing off anxiety. Like if you have it, you will feel seen if you read this book. Just saying. He has anxiety, so he feels like nobody likes him. He feels like everything he's doing is wrong, and he ends up running into Brianna, and they start forming a friendship. Brianna realizes that he's anxious, that he has anxiety. He doesn't like being around a lot of people, so she starts writing him notes, and that's how they communicate with each other for a while. He loves that. She took time to recognize his problems and help him get through it, and he appreciates that so much. I just feel like Jacob is me in a male form. Like, I felt so seen reading this book. I love this book. And I just love the way that Abby Jimenez's mind works and how she can come up with all these characters and make them so relatable. I love it. So if you haven't read anything from the series, please read this one and Just for the Summer. Those are my 2 favorites from the series, but I would highly recommend anything that Abby Jimenez writes, honestly. Then we have The Valentine's Hate by Sydney Halston, and I actually ended up DNFing this book on like page 60 or something. It's a very short book if you can't tell. So this is about Lizzie, and she's always said that Valentine's Day is the worst day of the year because of something that happened to her when she was a kid. Like, I think 2nd grade, it said. Well, that thing was this guy named Brian. He moved to town and was rude to her on Valentine's Day, so apparently that ruins Valentine's Day for her every year. And now they're adults, and her best friend's about to get married on Valentine's Day, and she's like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna go. Like, things are gonna go bad for me. Like, that's the worst day of the year. It's always bad. And she runs into Brian again, and all those feelings start to surface again. I ended up DNFing this because I just got bored. I just didn't care about the characters. They just fell flat for me. The characters just didn't feel real and I just didn't care. So I quit reading. Now we're moving on to March. So I read Kingdom Keepers Disney in Shadow, which is book 3 in the Kingdom Keeper series by Ridley Pearson. So if you don't know what this series is about, it's about these 5 kids who become the DHI like holograms of themselves as tour guides at the Magic Kingdom. And in their dreams, they go to sleep and they all like meet up together and have to fight the villains. So like in book 1, they were fighting Maleficent. In this one, they were fighting Maleficent again, but she also had help. So I think Hades was there and somebody else. I can't remember who. But in this one of the Imagineers goes missing, like gets kidnapped, and the kids have to try to find him and save his life. I thought that this one was really fun, but I feel like the first one's still probably my favorite. But I'm excited to continue the series and finish it. Next up, we have Deepened by Ali Hazelwood. This one was also a DNF for me, which is really sad because I love Ali Hazelwood, but the last few of her books just haven't been hitting for me. Makes me really sad. I will continue to read her though, don't worry. But in this book, we have Scarlet, who is on the diving team, and she's friends with this girl named Penelope. Penelope was dating this guy named Lucas, but they ended up breaking up because Penelope was not into kinks and Lucas was, so she felt like she was holding him back. So she broke up with him. She comes up with this idea that Scarlet and Lucas should become a couple because they're both into kinks. Okay, so we don't really know what the kinks are at the point where I stopped reading it anyway, but I was just bored. Like, the characters felt fake. I don't know if that makes any sense. So like, I would never break up with my boyfriend and push him to be with my best friend just because they're into the same thing. Like, that just felt really strange to me. So I think that's part of the reason why I stopped reading it. Like I said, I was just bored. I just felt like I was getting nothing out of it, so I didn't like it. But if that sounds interesting to you, you might really like it. I know some people have, but it just wasn't for me. Next, we have Finale by Stephanie Garber, which is book 3 in the Caraval series. I think there's a novella after this, but this was the last one till last year, I think. Anyway, this one I gave 3.5 stars. This was not my favorite in the series. This one like switches between the points of view of Donatella and Scarlet, which is cool, but I just didn't care about the storyline that was going on like in the background. So like, they finished Caraval, the games were over. This one was just, I don't know, I was bored. So this was not for me. But we did meet Jax. Well, you kind of met him in the second one, but you like meet him more in this one, and he's gonna be the main character in the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. So I guess this is setting up for that one. So I am excited to read the next series, but this book was just a miss for me. So then the last book that I read in March was Finding Mr. Right by Kelly Armstrong. This is about Daphne, who's a female writer. She writes this book and she's having a really hard time getting it published. Nobody wants anything to do with it because a woman wrote it. So she gets drunk one night and comes up with the idea that she's gonna put a man's name on her manuscript. Suddenly, everybody wants to buy it. So now she's like, oh, so I was right. Women have a harder time in the publishing industry, but if you put a man's name on it, suddenly we're gonna buy it up. The only problem with this is the name that she put on here is a fake man who does not exist. So now she has to hire this actor to pretend to be this man that she made up, and he has to pretend to play the part of author of this book. The only problem is now the book's not technically written by Daphne anymore. So all the success that she wanted to have as an author, she technically doesn't have anymore because she gave it to somebody else. But now this man has had a photo shoot, so his picture's now on the back of the book, and now he's about to do an interview at Daphne's house. So they have to meet in person for the first time at her house. And then things just like keep getting crazier and crazier after that. Like, they have book signing, meet and greet, whatever. I really enjoyed this. It was like way different than something that I've ever read before, but I did feel really bad for Daphne the whole time. I understand why she did what she did, but she shouldn't have had to do that. You know, it's just not fair. But like I said, I really did enjoy this book. Now on to April. I read more books in April than I really thought I was going to, which I'm not mad about, but we have Lore Olympus Volume 1 by Rachel Smith. So I think I gave this one 3.5 stars. I was not a huge fan of this. I was just kind of bored. This is Persephone and Hades, just in like comic book form. It was a fun time. It just was not that interesting to me, I guess. But if you're into Hades and Persephone, you might really like this series. I believe there's like 8 volumes out right now. So that's pretty fun. Next up, we have Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. So I actually have the Target exclusive edition. So this is probably the cover that you guys have seen. But with the Target exclusive edition, it's like a reversible dust jacket. So that's why mine looks different. Anyway, I ended up rating this book 5 stars. Again, Abby Jimenez, amazing writer. So this book is about Xavier, who is a veterinarian, and he's like a really well-known veterinarian. Everybody loves him, and apparently he's really hot. Like, he was compared to Rysand from the ACOTAR series multiple times in this book. I've never read that series, but I know a lot of people have, and that a lot of people are in love with Rysand. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, pick this book up. But he meets Samantha one day, who comes in with this kitten that she rescued, and it turns out that the kitten does not have a butthole. Very weird topic, I know, but I have to point that out because it's mentioned so much in the first few chapters. So if that weirds you out, maybe don't read this, but I don't know. So she brings this cat in and she's like, can you help me save him? Blah, blah, blah. He's saying, no, just put the cat down. What do you mean just put the cat down? He's like, yeah, just put the cat down. It's not worth it. She's like, what a jerk you are, whatever. She goes home. She's like, I'm gonna prove him wrong. She raises enough money to be able to afford the surgery for this cat. The cat ends up being fine. Everything's great. Well, he apologizes for being such a jerk. He was just having a bad day and he took it out on her. And then he asks her out on a date. They go on this first date and it's so much fun. And then after their date's over, she's like, okay, I'm leaving. Goodbye. And he's like, what do you mean leaving? And she's like, yeah, I have to move back home. My mom has dementia, so I have to go take care of her. And then she's like, just forget about all the fun that we had. I'm breaking up with you, basically. And he's like, what do you mean? So this whole book is them like traveling back and forth to see each other because they can't just get each other out of their heads. I loved this book. Like I said, her mom has dementia though, and that can be a trigger for some people. So just throwing that out there. Like, they talk about it a lot. But this book had me laughing and also had me bawling my eyes out at a certain part. But I did have a great time. And I can't wait to read the rest of the series when it comes out. Now we have What Once Was Mine by Liz Broswell. So this is part of the Disney Twisted Tale series. And I ended up giving this one 3 stars. It was not my favorite. And I'm very disappointed about that because of how much I love Rapunzel. But this says, what if Rapunzel's mother drank a potion from the wrong flower? So in the movie, Rapunzel's mom gives birth to her after she had drank the like sunshine potion, I think is what it's called. And it gives her golden hair. And her golden hair has the great good power that it has. Well, in this book, she gets the moonshine potion, which gives Rapunzel like this silvery colored hair. And it has a totally different power than the sunshine potion. And when she was a baby, she cried and it killed somebody. So because of that incident, she's been locked away in this tower with Mother Gothel for her entire life. And she thinks that she's a terrible person. But turns out she's not. She just didn't fully know how to use the power of her hair. So with help along the way, she figures it out and everything's good. But I was really bored throughout this book because there was like no action, nothing really happening until 400 pages into the 490 page book. So just keep that in mind. I do recommend it if you're like a huge fan of Rapunzel because you still might really enjoy it. But like I said, there was just not a whole lot going on for like 400 pages. That's a chunky book. So I was just kind of bored the whole time. Next we have The Love That Split the World by Emily Henry. This also unfortunately was a D enough for me. This is about this girl named Natalie who can see kind of ghost type things like her grandma. What do they call her? It says there are visits from the kind and mysterious apparition that she calls grandmother. So I don't really know what that means. People basically told her she was crazy, that wasn't real, she wasn't seeing anything. So she's in high school, and one day she gets a visit from grandmother, basically telling her that she has 3 months to save his life. She doesn't even know who she's talking about. Like, whose life? Why am I saving his life? Who is he? And she has to try to figure that out. I was so confused when I was reading this book. I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't understand anything they were talking about. So this is science fiction, and like I said before, I think in the video where I was reading this, I'm glad that she changed her mind on what type of book she was gonna write, because I really do enjoy what she writes now. But this I just could not get into. But maybe if you're into science fiction, you would really like this. It just was not for me. Next, I read Accidentally Amy by Lynn Painter, and I ended up giving this one 4 stars as well. So this was actually a reread for me. I read the indie published version 2023, I think, and I really enjoyed it. And then now this is told in dual point of view, and there was more scenes added, which just added to the fun of this. So this book is about Izzy, who's about to start her new job, and she runs into a coffee shop to get a coffee and orders a pumpkin spice latte. You know, it's a very common order. Well, this girl named Amy also ordered a pumpkin spice latte, but she was not going up to the counter to get her drink when it was cold. Izzy, running late for work, just runs up and grabs it. She's like, it's fine, it's the same order. On her way out the door, she directly runs into this guy's chest, spills the latte all over him, and he just saw her pick up the latte, so he thinks her name's Amy. Turns out at her new job, he's the CEO of the company. He just met her at the coffee shop, called her Amy, and now suddenly her name's Izzy. Well, he just got out of this relationship where his ex lied to him a lot, so this triggers him. So now she has to like basically prove to him that she's not a liar, tell it tell him her side of the story and everything. This is a really fun book, and the best part is that it was never supposed to be a book in the first place. So I just think that's really funny, but please read this. Next, we have Funny Story by Emily Henry. I ended up giving this book 4 stars as well. So this is about Daphne, who is dating this guy named Peter. Well, I think they were engaged actually. So she feels like everything's fine. They're in this healthy relationship. They love each other. Everything's great. He goes on his bachelor party and he comes home and is like, sorry, Daphne, we're breaking up. I'm in love with my childhood best friend. Excuse me? And he's like, yeah, so you have a week to get out of here. What? So it turns out that the childhood best friend is named Petra, I think is how you say it. She's in a relationship with Miles. So now she's leaving Miles for Peter. So now Miles is just living by himself in his apartment. Daphne has nowhere to go, so she moves into Miles' apartment so that she has somewhere to live. And the two of them like form a friendship over this bond that they now have. It was a very unique story. It just was not my favorite by her, but I would recommend this. Next we read Anxious People by Fredrik Backman. I gave this book 5 stars. Yeah. So I think that the reason that I waited so long to read this is because I read A Man Called Ove, is that how you say it? By this author, 2024, and I hated it. I just could not get through the book. Like, I don't know what it was. So I was like, I hate this guy's writing. I'm never going to read another book by him. But I picked this one up and I gave it 5 stars. So do you guys think that I should try the other one again? Or have you read that one and it was just hard to get through? Let me know. But this is about 8 people who are at this apartment viewing, and a failed bank robber comes in and ends up holding everybody hostage. And this is told through every person's perspective, which is a really cool way to write this book. Please read this. This had me crying and laughing. Then we have Today, Tonight, Tomorrow by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This one was also 5 stars. I had quite a few 5 stars this month. Let me think about it, now that I think about it. So this book is about Rowan and Neil. They are on their last day of high school, and they've had this rivalry the entire time. So freshman year, they both wrote an essay, and Neil beat Rowan in this essay contest, so now she just had it out for him the whole time. Anything and everything that she could do to beat him, she was trying to do. So now they're fighting for valedictorian. Well, it turns out that Neil wins. So of course Rowan is upset and mad, but she's like, whatever, end of high school, I never have to see him again. Well, now they're about to play their senior game of Howl, which is basically assassin and a scavenger hunt just mixed together. It sounds like a good time. But she overhears that people are going to go directly after Neil. So they decide to team up, and her goal is to just have the two of them be the last ones in the game, and then she's going to defeat him. But then they end up realizing that they have more in common than they ever thought, and they start to become friends. It was just a really, really sweet book, and I'm so excited to read book 2 in the series. Next, we have Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers by Jessie Q. Sutanto. I finished this yesterday, actually, and I ended up giving it 4 stars. So this is about Vera Wong. She's a 60-year-old lady who owns this tea shop, but it's not a very busy tea shop. I think she said she has 1 customer, like 1 constant customer. Anyway, she wakes up one day and there's a dead body in her tea shop. And her first thought is not to call the police like a normal person. Her first thought is, well, could I solve this murder? Well, she ends up calling the police anyway. And then she was right. They basically do nothing. They're like, oh, yeah, he's dead. What? Do something. So she just takes matters into her own hands. She finds suspects and then tries to figure out what happened. I will say I did not figure out who it was. That got me. But another thing is, she doesn't feel like she's 60 in this book. The way the author wrote her, she feels like she's like 80 years old, which is not a bad thing. But if she's supposed to be 60, she needs to be written like she's 60. And there's also a 2-year-old in this book who at one point is talking about inflation. And I don't know about any of you, but I've never met a 2-year-old who talks about inflation. So that felt off too. But other than that, I had a really great time, and I can't wait to read the second one. Then the last books that we read, Spy Family Volume 1 and Spy Family Volume 2 by, I still don't know how to pronounce the author's name. I ended up giving both of these 4 stars. I am highly enjoying this series so far. I'm just mad that each book keeps leaving off on a cliffhanger and I don't have the next book. That's what I keep getting mad about. So, if you've never read this is about Master Spy Twilight, who is one of those people that's just really good at his job. So they give him a very high profile case to work on. He has to get married and he has to have a kid, but he also has to have this kid reach this prestigious school and become really high up in the school. Well, that's what he's gonna try to do. And this is just really humorous and a lot of fun. So what ends up happening is he's a spy, his wife is an assassin, and his daughter's a telepath. So as you can tell, there's just a lot going on and it's so much fun. I just hate how they both ended off on cliffhangers and I didn't have the next one available. I want to go buy the 3rd one right now to see what happens. But anyway, if you guys have any more suggestions on graphic novels, please let me know because I want to keep reading more. So I've read Heartstopper, I've read the first 2 in the Spy Family, and I read the first of Lore Olympus. If you have anything else, let me know because I do want to get into more. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. I hope you have a great rest of your day.